Hello, welcome back to the coverage of Paprika's Open 9 MCQ for the Mythic Championship Barcelona. We have concluded round number 6. The players are now reviewing the standings. The top 8 is close to being determined. You see Canister making his way to the coverage booth. And yeah, there he is. There he is. Where were you when you were not here? Arriving. Okay, so just 2 rounds more, and we will have our top 8. Most of the players know where they can draw or not at the moment, so there might be some win-ins, but most likely some of those players will want to play until the end because of the play-draw difference, and also they want to be safe and secure their spot in the top 8 since there is a lot on the line. There is an MCQ invitation, an MC invitation. There are lots of gadgets from Ultimate Guard, from Card Market, from Okie Dokie Dice, from MTG Spot, chrum.com, hobbity.pl or EU, Świat Kawy i Herbaty, and psychotalk.pl. So, thank you guys. Oh, and also SPC Gear. Why I couldn't, we must not forget about them. Providing keyboards and mouse pads and awesome stuff that will help you with your arena progress and making top 1000. Definitely.
Players are sitting down.
And who are we going to see? Again, Krzysztof Marek and Alan Andrzejewski.
Yes, 2 reasonably well-known Polish players on the Polish scene.
Very strong magicians.
You can see how Alan nonchalantly throws a what I assume is a bag of dice on his playmat.
It was
really
not only a bag of dice; it was a Hello Kitty bag of dice.
Yes. It is a sign of strength and confidence. Seeing that, showing off that he's not a stranger to competitive card games.
Yes, because definitely the color and the flavor of your gaming accessories shows how well defined your playstyle is and how comfortable you are playing the tournaments. We all know of a player who plays the tournaments on a pink, rugged carpet, or actually, it's not carpet, it's a blanket.
Okay.
You know who?
No.
Oh, Ober.
Oh yeah, sure.
Ober plays on nice pink blanket and always stares at you as if he was going to kill you. So yeah, nice beards. Yes, this is the battle of the beards.
It is true. If those were the sole constraints of the competition, then one would probably say that Alan is ahead in that, but our players are going to play much of Magic the Gathering in addition to that, so that's only the beginning.
And who knows how long this match will take. Perhaps their beards will grow even longer. Hopefully not. There is a 50-minute time limit.
Yeah, given that there's like an enforced 50 minutes time limit, it's probably not noticeable. Hardly any noticeable hair growth can happen during those times.
And here are the standings after the
Round 6.
Round 6, yes. So we've got 2 players at 6-0, Marcin Staciwa and Andrzej Bobak. Krzysztof Marek, Maciej Dolata, Łukasz Fligel, Erik Romanowski, Hubert Pszczółkowski, Jan Pruchniewicz, Szymon Nadolny, Kacper Sarna, Mariusz Gawrychowski, Alan Andrzejewski. They are all very much in the top 8 contention at 5-1. Players at 13 and 12 points, well, they have to, 12 points basically doesn't cut it, I think, but 13 is, yeah.
13 can win out.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. We are doing our best. Okay, so we know from the previous round that Krzysztof is playing a four-color Dreadhorde deck. I don't know what Alan has brought today. During the last Paprikash Open, Alan played Simic Nexus, but I doubt that it was his weapon of choice for today.
Yeah, Shimmick Nexus is not too popular of a deck. It was regarded as the most insane deck coming into the War of the Spark format, but ended up being absolutely contained by the 3 mana Planeswalkers, Teferi, Time Raveler, and Narset. Part of the Veils both have a huge effect on the Nexus of Fate combo deck as we knew it, when combined with Wilderness Reclamation.
So now we are going to see what Alan is going to play.
Indeed.
Well,
It is a Nexus of Fate deck still.
it is a Nexus of Fate deck. So one of two Nexus of Fate decks in the room. This is going to be an interesting one.
Nexus of Fate is a strategy that could definitely be able to go over the top of the Command the Dreadhorde strategy.
I can also see the Commander Dreadhorde deck just completely shutting down the Nexus with Teferi and especially after board Narset. Just
Well, those permanents are of course problematic, but as you see, like Alan already has a card that's not very typical in the old Nexus of Fate builds. Nissa, who shakes the wall. A pretty strong option when it comes to finding.
So these players are
things.
not 7-0. This is round 7, so nobody's 7-0. They are 5-1.
Root Snare.
Growth Spiral.
No, Root Snare the draw.
Oh, okay. Bond of Flourishing, the new cantrip from War of the Spark.
It's triple search was canta for Alan here. Pretty funny. Like you would not pick a Nexus here, a search for Ascanta too often here, but well, if you only have 3 of those to choose from, then I guess you end up doing that.
Yep.
Notably, depending on Krzysztof's next turn's play, Nissa, who shakes your ward, can be really potent against those Command Dreadhorde decks. It's not easily killable, and if Alan untaps with it, it is truly devastating. Probably going to see Search for Ascanta getting bounced,
Indeed.
making it harder for Alan to enable that.
So Krzysztof also developed Wildgrowth Walker and drew the Commander Dreadhorde, so it could come down as early as next turn.
Yeah, there's not too many targets right now. Placing Tamio a turn before Command the Dreadhorde is supposed to happen is always somewhat of a scary proposition. Again,
Alan has a Tamio of his own.
yeah, the Tamio is relatively safe now, given that Krzysztof only has 3 points of power in play. There's a Shorin Vengeful Bloodlord in his hand. There are some options to play. Could plus Tamio again.
Naming what exactly? Is he looking for a Jade Light Ranger perhaps?
Well, if you're looking for a Jade Ranger, then odds are that you actually don't want to name it. You just want to reveal it and you want to let it end up in your
Named
graveyard.
Assassin's Trophy and hit it, the first card.
Yeah, that's kinda strong. Assassin's Trophy is a one-off in Krzysztof's main deck, so it's pretty fortunate to actually hit it. Providing Alan with an extra basic is a scary proposition, but it's still useful to be able to clear any permanent. Also, Krzysztof is able to, because as I said, like placing Tamio is a scary proposition, because you can end up with a good card in your graveyard, and Alan ended up milling over his own Nissa, who shakes the world, and now
His world is about to be shaken.
yeah, it is his world that's about to be shaken. Yeah, so a lot of stuff is happening, and it might be kind of hard to recover from that for Alan.
So the Jade Light Ranger will explore and
Draw a bajillion of lands.
Wildgrowth Walkers will gain Krzysztof 12 life thanks to the double explore trigger.
Yep. This animated land that is going to kill Tamio too.
Yes, that is a nice play.
So Alan only has 5 lands in play. Nexus of Fate costs 7. Even then, if he has 7 mana in play, that is not actually doing anything yet. So some stuff needs to happen for Alan to.
All right, that was enough for Alan. He did not manage to find what he needed. So they will just move on to the next game. We don't have the exact configuration of Alan's sideboard, but we do have one for Krzysztof. And he's running Armored Ego. Would you board it in?
Definitely. Not many of those Dreadhorde decks run Unmoved Ego, because Nexus of Fate is frankly somewhat non-existent in the metagame. It has become somewhat of a fringe choice. But Krzysztof Marek can board in his Elder Spells and Duresses and Unmoved Egos. Elder Spell can be a little bit wonky depending on how many Nissas exactly Alan is running. It's hard to tell from just seeing it like that. It could be a lot of Nissas, could be less Nissas. It's possible that Alan decides to skip Nissas entirely. Skip Wilderness Reclamation entirely and just runs Nissa over that slot.
That could be possible, yes.
In general. But, well, Krzysztof gained some additional tools, and if Unmoved Ego is ever good in any deck, it's going to be decent in this one, since...
you get to dig for it.
Yes, you get to dig for it with Tamio, quite a bunch, but what is more important is that once you exile Nexus of Fate, I really don't see a way for Alan's deck to realistically go over the top of what Command the Dreadhorde is doing.
Yes, those decks do run some Carnage Tyrants and some Biogenic Oozes, but you might end up just giving them to your opponent by chance, by accident.
Yeah, that could happen, but the bigger picture issue is that those threats are just too small when compared to the battlefields that are created after Command the Dreadhorde resolves. If the board includes 3-4 explore creatures plus a huge amount of counters on a Wildgrowth Walker, it's just going to be too much. Your Biogenic Ooze is going to require a lot of mana to deal with that, and every single time a thing that you control gets bounced by a Teferi, you are going to lose out on a lot of value and then got out tempos too.
So this is an important match for Alan. Basically, it might be his tournament on the line.
Yeah, so I said normally the Nexus of Fate decks would be potentially able to go over the top of those decks, albeit Exorcist of Mana had a decent draw, leading on a turn 3 Tamio, being able to plus her 3 times, flip 12 cards to fill up his graveyard. Then the aid of Alan's Tamio, milling over a Nissa who shakes the world, was also slightly troublesome. If Alan boards out Root Snares, which I would assume is going to be his strategy, I do not believe that Root Snare is going to be too effective of a strategy against Exorcist of Marek's deck, especially post-board. Then it is possible that the Fairy Time Robber is not even that much of a problem for the deck in the end. If Alan chooses Sorcerer Speed Ramp to produce extra mana to play Sorcerer Speed, Nexus of Fates paired with Nissa and Tamio, which is a version of Nexus that has been popping up recently. I have been experimenting with that a little bit myself. It does have some promise.
That's more like a fair mid-range deck. With just
Well, it's it's still, the point is that you get to go over the top of mid-range decks.
But instead of taking all the turns, you just take the turns in key spots, right?
Well, the goal would be to take all the turns anyways. It is
yeah.
still very much plausible to do that with Tamio digging you so deep throughout your deck. And the versions I've been experimenting with included like basically 4 Nissa, 4 Tamio, 4 Nexus of Fate, some maybe extra tools like Hydrate Crushes or finally of Revelation. And then you frequently try to set up a scenario where you can untap with Nissa, cast a Time Walk, get an extra turn, and then with Tamio it will be somewhat easily chainable to a second one, or in the worst case you would untap and cast a humongous Hydrate Crushes and pass with a full hand.
Yeah, that feels good.
Pretty comfortably comboing off once you untap with that again.
Okay, so Krzysztof is taking a mulligan, I think, or not? Yeah, he is.
Yeah, his hand looked pretty bad in general. A lot of expensive spells, double Tamio, commanding Dreadhorde, only 2 lands.
This one looks promising. Some explore creatures, Paradise Druid to accelerate stuff, a Tamio to fill the graveyard. So let's go. That was an aggressive land placement.
Yeah, that was an aggressive land. Very quickly
Uh-huh.
tamed by Alan.
Get off my lawn, kid.
Get out of my swamp.
Oh, Shrek.
I like the aggressive placement of Alan's land. Too. Alan's growth spiral straight onto the Monarch. Alan can ramp quite a bit. Gets to cast another growth spiral. Put 2 lands and can cast a Narset, which forces Exorcist of Marek to decide between attacking Narset to prevent an extra activation or ramping out a Planeswalker, like Itamio. Alan chooses a Search for Ascanta. Interestingly, one of the cards among those 4 cards that he was choosing from was Narset's Reversal. That's actually kind of a funny card to try to stop the Dreadhorde deck with, because you actually get to counter and bounce their Dreadhorde.
Yeah, and and then when they get to the chance to resolve it again, the graveyards are mostly empty. So
Yeah, like I mean, you get the first activation yourself, so like that's super strong. Alan is going to activate his plus his Tamio. Not sure what he
I think it was Nexus.
names here. Named Nexus.
No, he
It
didn't.
was not
Nissa.
Nexus. Nissa.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It puts 3 cards into his graveyard. His graveyard is at 6 cards now. That means that next turn, it's going to be able to flip Ascend the Sunken Ruin, transform it into a land, and have this extremely powerful engine available, which looks pretty nice. With both Search for Ascanta and Nissa going, can dig quite deeply for that. Krzysztof Marek is ready though with a Bronto Boy to destroy the Search for Ascanta, to prevent the flip.
Doing that actually will cost him because he does not have a land for the turn. He could develop Paradise Druid, but I think that destroying the Ascanta is much more important because
Yeah, it seems
that
more,
can just
more
run away
pressing,
with the
but
game.
Still there's the Tamio ticking up. I think it looks like another perfect opportunity for Alan to maybe name in Nissa. He decides against that and just plays a Narset
Look
minus
for
his
it
Narset.
manually. Let's see what he finds.
Chemister's Insight.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm really interested in the deck list of Alan. He chooses from a Nissa, a Chemister's Insight, and a Search for Ascanta. Goes with Nissa to be ready for the next one. Given that Krzysztof Marek missed his land drops, it seems extremely reasonable. Cast another Growth Spiral. Gets to put a land at the bottom, and into play. Minuses Nissa to get a Search for Ascanta and then play that. That's actually smart. That's actually smart. Because then like he gets hits both bears with a single stone.
Yep. Nice 3 lands, bro.
Krzysztof plays a pretty meaningless in a large scale J-Light Ranger.
So he found a land and the Jade Ranger on the Explorer.
Yep. Destroys the Search for Ascanta again. Well, that leaves Narset in play. Decides not to go after Narset, so Alan can activate his own Narset again to dig for a Nexus. Sven is a Nissa and a basic island at this point.
There is a Nissa again.
Yep.
And Bond of
Are
Flourishing.
there any things to hit? Just takes an extra Nissa for redundancy. One thing that you would be a little bit scared of is the other spell. That could be somewhat spooky in this exact spot.
So let's see what the turn looks like for him.
Alan needs to decide what to do with his Tamio. He could grab a Hydrate Crest from the graveyard, try to cast a humongous one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8. There's 8 lands in the battlefield, so that's either a Kratos for X6 that draws 3 cards, or a sequence of Nissa into
Untap.
Nissa into the same scenario. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
Nissa into a 7/7 Kratos, I guess.
Okay.
Given that his land in hand is an island.
So that seems objectively better.
Well, you lose a Tamio, so like there's some opportunity cost in that. There are 2 mana floating for Alan. 4 mana floating plus extra 4 mana floating. So, as we said, X equals 7.
Yeah, we'll draw 3 cards, gain him 3 life, and this game looks as lopsided as the last one, but now in Alan's favor.
Yeah, that's a very strong card to draw here. Chemist's Insight is going to allow Alan to go off.
But Krzysztof is at 6 mana, and what that means is he could fire off Command the Dreadhorde.
That's true, there are some options for Command the Dreadhorde. Guess you rest. It rest choosing from Nissa and Chemist's Insight. Krzysztof goes with Nissa.
And then plays a Tamio of his own.
Yeah, so Alan still has some time because Krzysztof is taking setup turns. It's not hitting with the heaviest hammers yet. Revealed a Command the Dreadhorde, not sure what he named with that activation. Apparently it was not Command the Dreadhorde, given that putting that in the graveyard, but if you untap with Nissa and such a deck, you should probably be pretty fine. Just draw a Nexus of Fate, that's an excellent draw for Alan. Probably going to lead on that to increase the odds of drawing an extra copy. That's actually pretty close to lethal already. Alan is going to take an extra turn. Attack. Well, this turn Alan attacks with 2 lands and a Hydroid Crosses. That deals.
He drew an Narset's Reversal.
Was it also a mass manipulation?
Might have been.
It is. So many things to choose from. Many cards to choose from Alan Andrzejewski, but I believe if he goes for Nexus of Fate, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, if he goes for Nexus of Fate into Nash's Revelsa, he gets to take 3 turns in a row where he attacks with Hydroid Crushes. Because you can Nash's Reversals your own Nexus of Fate, so you bounce the original to your hand, and then you counter it and
Resolve a copy.
Resolve the copy. That is not what Alan goes for. Preferably, like, potentially fearing a Spell Pierce, because that could have been devastating. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it wouldn't have been devastating actually had he plus Nissa first. So not entirely sure if maybe he
didn't know about this interaction.
Missed the maybe like he didn't realize that's a available line of play, because that would have been assured lethal.
These lands are vigilant, so
thrilled me. There's a lot of sauce in Alan's deck list. A lot of interesting choices.
And Krzysztof has seen enough.
So
He's gonna take the rest of the 25 minutes in this match to try and win the last game. So now both of the players are fighting to stay in the tournament.
Yeah.
Nice. We like game 3s.
I like how Alan's deck tries to transform into a ramp deck post-board effectively, with many ramp payoffs like Hydroid Crosses and Mass Manip and all that jazz. I would be kind of worried about the amount of actual ramp spells in Alan's deck. So far, both games he was able to draw to play turn 2 Growth Spiral to accelerate himself onto those bigger spells, but you know, haven't seen anything else. No Lano Elves, no
Incubation Druids.
Incubation Druids, not really any Arboreal Grazers, so I'm interested to see if Alan actually has something else to bridge into his bigger cards, or he's trying to rely on some other interactive elements to get to that later part of the game.
Will you post the top 8 deck list somewhere? Yes, they will be available on our fan page, MTG Szczecin or Paprika's Open.
Where, on what platform is this fan page located?
It's located on the book with all the faces.
On facebook.com.
It is. Okay, let the battle begin. Game 3, round 7. And these guys, well, everything is on the line for them right now.
Well, I would not go with everything, but
It certainly feels like it when you're playing.
Alan continues to keep hands that are stocked with a hefty amount of growth spirals.
Wow, does he have a playset right now in hand?
He has at least 3.
Yeah,
I guess
4.
it's 4 of them.
Yep.
Well, yeah, I guess it ends up actually being a really reliable way to ramp.
Oh, that's a
He's
bunch
going
of
to cast
flourishing.
Bonds of Flourishing. The reasoning for that is probably to hit a 4th land, so he can use up his growth spirals more reliably. Because while he had a lot of growth spirals, he was lacking in the lands department, only having 3. So he's looking to have like excess amounts of lands in his hand to put onto the battlefield.
Whereas Krzysztof is just going with a reasonably strong aggro start.
Yeah, there's always a lot of pressure. Wilder Walker into J-Light Ranger is kind of, Tamagotchi into Tamagotchi, I guess. Yeah, so it looks pretty innocuous. But Alan is going to be able to play 2 growth pilots this turn on top, then we'll have a lot of lands. Maybe he will turn his mana advantage into something, but Krzysztof starts to dig deep into his deck with Tamio.
So everything is according to the plan so far.
Well, depending on whose plan you are considering. The mass manipulation could be pretty huge if Alan can cast it with something like, X3. Krzysztof hit in
Unmoored
Ego, the other spell. And keep in mind, even if you don't name those cards, placing them into your graveyard with
allows you.
Tamio's ability allows you to access them. with her -3 ability the next turn. Alan is really looking for those extra lands. He has drawn a Nissa that he can play, but that's not going to withstand the pressure from the creatures. It is.
However, now if Marek wants to use the Unmoored Eagle from his graveyard, he will have to sacrifice the Tamiyo.
True. Given the mass manipulations, there are odds of mass manipulations plus Narset's reversal. There is some chance of Alan winning the game off of his, even after getting Unmoored Eagle out. But it's not looking too great for Alan because the board presence for Krzysztof is reasonably huge, while the Planeswalkers are going to, they don't stop coming. They don't stop coming and they don't stop coming.
And they don't stop coming and they don't stop coming.
As one would say.
Somebody once told you that.
Yes. Search for Ascanta also not really flipping all that soon. It's really tempting to just Unmoored Ego away next size now, because you'd really have to believe that it's going to be pretty easier to win the game from this position if Alan does not have the option to take more than one turn at once. If you spew too many resources away, you are going to fall victim to Alan's mass manipulation, but so far cannot even cast it for one. You just have 5 lands and you need a lot more for that.
Yeah, and when Krzysztof decides to kill Nissa, and I think he will kill Nissa this turn, this mana will grow even shorter. Now the Unmoored Ego will... Ooh, he doesn't go for Nexus, he goes for the Nissa.
It's an interesting move. Nissa is seemingly the mana doubler that Alan uses of Wilderness Reclamation, so exiling all of them from the deck does seem to accomplish something. He did attack the one first to exile it from his graveyard, and he gets to take a look at Alan's deck list. There's at least three copies of Nexus of Fate. Did I see plain white Celebration too?
You might have, because some players yesterday were playing
Seems
white.
like Alan goes really big with his deck. But honestly, it's very reliant on Nissa surviving all of those expensive spells. Even Nexus of Fate, it's kind of hard to envision casting them too often when all of the ramp that you have in your deck is 4 copies of Nexus of,
Growth Spiral.
Growth Spiral. I think I have seen a Wilderness Reclamation in the deck too, so I guess it's quite a bit more of a hybrid version. Yes, there was at least one Wilderness Reclamation in there. I think just one. It's possible that it was just one for the post-board games. It seems like there were only 2 Nissas in the...
Yes, and the third one was already down.
Okay. Monka S. Thanks, Alan.
Like, that hand is not that bad. You can still draw out of this.
Yeah.
Start stealing stuff.
I mean, just the idiot green dogs seem super hard to beat, though. Wilderness Reclamation, the draw, does not pair too well with many cards present in Alan's deck.
Yep.
Although it goes really well with Search for Scanta, right? So there's that. End of turn, he floats some mana from his Nissa land.
To utilize it for Grove Spiral, hoping for a land drop. Draws
Narset.
Nexus or Narset?
It was a Narset.
Okay. Sure. You're right.
There was no fogs left in Alan's deck. There was like no creature interaction. So the fact that he's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8, 8 damage, 2-turn clock is kind of rough. Because if he gets interacted with in any way, it's gonna be real tough. If he does not, then he can use Blast Zone to try to deal with, for example, the 2 drops on the battlefield.
Yes, since there are 3 at the moment.
Yep, there's a lot of those. Krzysztof chooses not to attack with his Paradise Druid.
Has a better plan for that.
Yep. Playing the
Fairy.
Fairy Hero of Dominaria. I'd expect the -3 ability to hit a Wilderness Reclamation. So let's see if
Reasonable
Krzysztof
choice.
follows my line of thinking.
Thunking.
Chaos Force Search was kind of seems like a adventurous choice to me, given that you know, like keep in mind that one of the breeding pool that Alan has on the battlefield is actually still a
3/3
3/3
creature.
creature that can finish off planeswalkers and all that jazz. So you know, there's the Wilderness Reclamation also gives Alan a lot of counterplay, enabling Blaststone to clear the 2 drops now. Now that there's no Search for Scanta to kill off, actually Alan can regain some tempo here. You know, after you clear the board off of the green idiots, then you can try to mass manipulation away something. It's not easy to use mass manipulation. Like you cannot abuse mass manipulation with Wilderness Reclamation, so you know that aspect is kind of poor. But
You will, I think, try to take the Teferi.
taking the Teferi is also kind of neat. It allows you to take the Teferi, activate Teferi, untap 2 lands. Excuse me, and stack the triggers in your end step in a way that will untap your lands, all of your lands at first, which allows you to charge up the Blast Zone up to 2. Then, using the Teferi trigger, you untap Blast Zone again, and then you use it, and then you blow up 2 drops. So that's kind of potent. I like this play. I think it's kind of a neat play. Yeah. So like with the Teferi trigger on the stack, he charges up the Blast Zone Reno.
And blows up. 2 drops.
Yep.
They can come back very easily.
Yeah, that was a certainly big brain play though. Like they can come back, but not sure if Krzysztof has a Command Dread Horde at this exact moment. It does not seem like that is the case. His hand seems to be
Elder
a mana
Spell.
dog, the Elder Spell, and a land. So he's kind of out of gas. It is actually kind of telling that Krzysztof went out of his way to use Tamio to get back his unmoored ego. To which, you know, like he named a card that seemed not that relevant in the end. and now is kind of running low on resources and on the risk of on the verge of losing out this game.
Yeah, and he goes for Alan's life total. He won't be happy to know that Alan has drawn 2 bonds of flourishing, so
Yeah.
6 life, and 2 permanents.
It's gonna be able to flourish. Make some land drops play Askanda probably. Putting two Nexus on the bottom of his deck is kind of a bummer. As you could have seen, Alan was visibly unhappy about that.
Yeah.
No, you can make a land drop play, for example, in Askanda and an extra bond of flourishing.
Yes, and then untap everything.
Maybe just play an asset over that. I think I would lean towards putting the Askanda down as quick as possible because I want to flip it with my Wilderness Reclamation in play. There's a lot of topics that are super threatening from Krzysztof Marek. Commanding Dreadhorde, of course, being one of the most threatening ones.
Tamio is also... Ouch.
Yep. Nissa's, Narset's reversal makes Krzysztof Marek's top decks much worse. Still, he can draw something like a Teferi.
Yes.
Teferi Time Raveler would bounce Wilderness Reclamation or just the free land.
He can
I guess the free land. Like that.
Go
on.
Okay. He can now. He has drawn a Tamio. He can take out Teferi from his graveyard and go on from there, or he can go for the second Unmoored Ego. No.
Well, if he casts the Unmoored Ego, then Alan will actually get to use Narset's reversal to hit him back with the Ego. Probably naming Commanding Dreadhorde, but I'm not entirely sure if that's what you want to do. You could also name Unmoored Ego yourself. Then you would exile Krzysztof Marek's Ego from his hand. And the neat part about that would be that Narset's actual static ability would prevent Krzysztof from drawing the extra card from that Ego. But that's just me showing appreciation to wonky plays over guessing what players are actually going to do. Maybe not really.
Okay, so
it's
step number 1, Tamio.
Yep. Tamio
resolves.
Getting his 26 life point. At this point, in the favor of all of those situations, maybe he's going to miss that. He's going to plus it.
Naming, we don't know what.
But
that was not it.
Yep. Alan visibly trying to speed up the pace of the game. Keeping his lands in play because he wants to have a lot of lands. So what Alan can do now is using mass manipulation to steal 2 cards, Tamio and the J-Light Ranger. That would stabilize him quite well. Actually, he doesn't have enough mana.
He needs 2 more lands.
Yep, he can only steal 1 thing. But you can steal Tamio plus Tamio, dig deeper into your deck. Try to start using Nexus.
So he is going to steal the Tamio.
Yep. Names Nexus of Fate. Building 4 lands, putting a Crassus into his graveyard. That's going to be a card that he's able to bring back with Tamio next turn. Very neatly, Wilderness Reclamation untaps the land that's able to block. Maybe at some point Alan will actually block with this land. Alan also knows that there are 2 lands on 2 Nexus on the bottom of his deck, so he'd really like to get to those Ascanta second win catch could probably help. Now Tamiya is on 7, which is exactly the amount on which it should be right now after being used 2 times.
Once by Krzysztof and once by Alan.
Yep. Blaston is a neat card, allows Krzysztof to Alan to remove the 4 drops, 2 drops.
Again.
He's going to grab the Hydrate Crosses. He's cognizant of the time and is going to try to finish the game in time.
And I think that this might be the icing on the cake.
What do you mean by icing on the cake?
I mean, he's had this game under control for a while, and this Hydrate Crisis and the extra life and the extra draws may have put him just beyond Krzysztof's ability to win.
Yeah.
Now manipulation will take his dorks, and we're going aggro.
Yep. The Nash Traversal still protecting from a Command Jet Horde top deck, and Alan gets the game. That was quite an interesting game. A really nice take on the Nexus of Fate strategy for Alan. I think his sideboard decisions make a reasonable amount of sense. You know, like he has a sideboard plan that goes bigger and is able to fight through hate. Once again, Unmoored Ego got clowned on camera. I believe that, well, you know, like, actually not really. You know, had Krzysztof named Nexus of Fate, it would not do much anyway, since, well, Alan didn't need to cast any of those to win the game. Well, like, what was game-losing about this Unmoored Ego was the fact that it tricked Krzysztof into getting rid of his Tamio instead of keeping her to dig deeper into his deck. That made him eventually run out of cards and lose to a flurry of X spells from Alan. So
yeah,
an interesting game to follow.
What seemed like a good play at the time didn't turn out to be so optimal in the end. All right, so that's it for round number 7, and we are going to be back with round number 8. I don't think we will have time for an interview. We need to take a break as well. So we will see you in a couple of minutes in the last round of Swiss at the MCQ Barcelona at Paprykarz Open in Szczecin. So stick around, and we will be right back.